are probably asleep right now who have asked that I send out the recording. So I will be sending out a recording afterwards. So yeah, just be aware that we are recording. You are of course able to ask me questions in the chat box anytime, and I will do my best to stop and answer those for you. But yeah, should we maybe get going? Is that okay with everybody? Time is precious and all that. So hello, my name is Rachel and welcome to this webinar, which is set to be 1 hour. There will be time for Q&A at the end. And of course, if you've got any questions as we move throughout the content, please feel free to just put those in the chat box. I am able to multitask and keep an eye on the chat box and the slides and talk all at the same time. So yes, if you do have a burning question, feel free to just pop that in the chat box. So yeah, we're going to take an hour. It's going to be recorded. And what we're talking about today is how to set sales targets and revenue goals that actually get achieved. And I stress the word actually, because all too often I hear clients and business contacts say that they've set goals that they don't achieve. And that can do terrible things for our mindset. You know, we feel a bit beaten up when we don't achieve our goals. It takes the wind out of our sails. And actually it means that you're less likely to hit future goals. Success breeds success. Positivity breeds positivity. And so if you set your goals small to begin with, then maybe you've got more of a chance of achieving them and success becomes infectious. And so I would always say, if you're struggling to hit the goals that you set, maybe just think about setting them a little bit smaller so that you can feel that rush of excitement when you achieve them, and that will sort of get you off on the right foot. But anyway, it's fantastic to have you here. I know we've got people from around the globe joining us. So hello to those of you that are live, and also hello to those of you that are watching the recording. I just want to start by saying that there are a number of business coaches and trainers out there at the moment that are talking a lot about content and how to do certain things in your business. And I find it quite frustrating sometimes listening to their content, because not because it's bad content, because it's really great, but because they talk a lot about what to do. And I always feel like I need the how to do it. It's no good just knowing what to do. You need to know how to apply it. And the success comes from the application, not just the knowledge. And so what I'm going to share with you today, I hope you can tell me if I managed to achieve this or not. What I'm going to share with you today is the how to do it, not just the what, going deep into the how. So I have got some numbers to share, because obviously sales involves some numbers. So I hope you've had your coffee and you're ready for some maths. I'm going to go deep into it. So let me just talk a little bit about why am I even qualified to talk about this. Oh, you guys can now see my screen, can't you? You can see all of it. Can you guys see all my screen? You can, can't you? What's going on? Hopefully that's better. Bear with me. No, it's come up again. Why is that doing that? Okay, we'll just go without. So yeah, let me tell you a little bit about why am I even qualified to talk to you guys about this stuff. So I live in the southwest of the UK, down by the seaside. I'm a wife, a mum, and an owner of two businesses now. And I've been in sales and people leadership for 25 years. I know I don't look old enough. I know I know what you're thinking. I don't look old enough. But 17 years of those 25, I was in corporate sales. And my revenue target when I was in corporate sales was £97 million. And so when it came to setting revenue targets, I had to be really good at doing it. I had a big team that covered the UK who needed to achieve £2 million between them every single week for me to hit that 97 million. So what I'm going to share with you today is the methodology that I used in that business to achieve £2 million of revenue every single week. So if you think the framework I'm sharing achieved 2 million, and actually I'm sure your goals aren't 2 million a week, then all we're doing is just going to scale back this methodology and you're going to apply it in your business to hopefully lead to massive success. And because I spent all those years learning this, what I'm hoping is that the failings that I've experienced, and trust me, there were many, I'm going to share those so that you can accelerate far more quickly than I did. The good news is I got more right than I got wrong. So that 97 million, we smashed that target. And I'm very, very proud now of being able to talk about that. I only wish it wasn't 100 million, because that's a nice round number and that would have just felt a little bit better. So let's move on to the next slide for you. So some of the common mindsets around revenue goals, tell me if some of these resonate with you, is I want to make X more than last month. Well, X more than last month is quite short term, and it means that you're always just trying to slightly inch forward better than you did the previous month. And actually what you need to do is set a bigger strategy than that and think more long term. Some of the other mindsets that I don't understand why it's just not happening for me. So you feel like you're doing everything right, but it's still not giving you the number that you want to achieve, or the number that you need for financial freedom or family happiness, or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. You might be thinking, oh, I'm not really sure if I'm charging enough. Maybe I'm not hitting my goal because my pricing is not quite right. And of course, when you're then selling to your clients, if you're not confident in your pricing, well, they're probably not either. So you might want to, think about your pricing strategy. Another mindset you might have is too many clients are avoiding making a decision. So you're doing the sales conversations, but actually you're not getting the yeses, and maybe you're not even getting the no's. Maybe you're getting radio silence when you try to follow up a sale. And so therefore you're scratching your head and thinking, why am I not hitting this revenue target? Or maybe you're thinking there's just no point in setting a revenue target anyway, because I won't achieve it. Maybe you've already set some and not met them, and that's making you feel bad. And so then you don't really want to set a target, because what's the point? If any of those resonate with you, let me know. But they are very common mindsets, and they're all perfectly normal. But obviously, if you don't want to be feeling like any of those things, we want to change that so that you feel successful, because success breeds success. Positivity breeds positivity. And so we want that infectious feeling of setting a goal, achieving it, and then being able to be confident enough to slightly move the needle and grow that revenue output. So let's move into some of the details. So firstly, you need to know your success goal. You need to define it in minute detail. Yes, you need to be able to describe it, as in what is the number, but I would suggest things like drawing out a vision board. Think about when you've achieved that number, what does that buy you? What does that create for you? Is it a family holiday? Is it a new home? Is it a new car? What is it that you're trying to achieve? And maybe pictorialize that onto a vision board so that you can be reminded of it on a daily basis, if that's what you need. The other thing, which sounds a little bit strange, is just say it out loud. Say it absolutely out loud. Be proud of the number. Don't be afraid to talk about money. It's not wrong to have a revenue goal in your business. After all, that is why we're in business. So yeah, be able to say the number, say it out loud to yourself. Obviously, maybe not broadcast it to everybody, but definitely be very, very comfortable with yourself and think about it daily. Maybe even write it on the top of your diary every single day, that is your goal, so that you can really feel focused on what you want to achieve. This is where you might think I've gone mad. So the best way to manifest more revenue is to not focus on the revenue. I'll say that again. The best way for you to manifest more revenue is to do the exact opposite of thinking about the revenue. The reason I say that is that revenue is not an input. Revenue is just an output. So think about if you were baking a cake, the revenue is the cake. What I'm going to give you is the ingredients. You need the flour, you need the margarine, you need the flavor. Is it a chocolate cake? You need a bit of chocolate in it. What are the ingredients, the inputs that you need to utilize to get the output that you need? The output is your revenue, but you aren't going to get the revenue by just thinking about the cake. You're not going to get the output by just thinking about the number. If you want to set a six-figure, maybe you want to reach 100K in your business this year, next year, you're not going to get it by just thinking, I'm going to get 100K, I'm going to get 100K, I'm going to get 100K. That's not enough. You need to think about how. What are the inputs for me to get that 100K? So if you think about the number and that's all you think about, so on the previous slide, I said you need to think about the number, and you do, but the real thing you need to think about is the inputs. You need to focus on what are the activities that you need to get involved in that are going to give you the output that you need. And so on your notepads, hopefully you've got notepads in front of you. By what date in the future do you want to achieve your new revenue goal? So that might be a year away. You might want to work in months or quarters. You might have a 5-year plan for your business. It doesn't matter when it is, as long as it's far enough in the future for you to be able to make some realistic changes, some realistic tweaks to the way you work, to the activities that you undertake with clients, maybe to your conversion rate, and we'll get onto that in a minute. But what is that date in the future? Because you need to be really clear on the goal. You need to know what you want to achieve and when you're going to achieve it by. So think about that date. And the key behavioral change is you're not going to work forward from today. You're going to work back from the future. You're going to say, a year from now, I would have had a 100K year in my business. And every activity that you do from that point is working back from the 100K in a year's time, not forward from today. So onto the ingredients. These are the 3 things that you need to really focus on. Not one of them is revenue. Okay, that's what I mean by not focusing on the revenue. These are the 3 things that you need to do in your business that will give you the output that you need. The first one is your sales activity and the conversations that you have. So on average in B2B world, the average number of touch points, average number of activities, contacts with clients that you need to have is 20. And those 20 could be you engaging in the direct messages on a social media platform. It could be you gathering somebody's email address and sending them out some really great emails to get engagement. It could be you inviting your potential client onto a discovery call. It could be you inviting your potential client to a group mastermind that you then want to convert them into a one-to-one style of work. It could be any number of things. But the reason it's as high as 20, because that sounds quite high, doesn't it? The reason it's that high is because people buy with the emotional side of their brain. And I know a number of you have heard me say this before. People buy with the emotional side of their brain. And that doesn't mean that there is no logic or rationale being considered. What it means is that when it comes to making that purchase decision, they ask themselves, do I know this person? Do I like this person? And more importantly, do I trust this person? And you cannot build trust in one conversation. You cannot build trust by just commenting on somebody's Instagram post. You cannot build trust through just having somebody come along to a mastermind once. They need to know you. They need to really get to know who you are, what your values are, what do you stand for? Is your content good? Is your product, is your service good? Have they heard other people talk about how good it is? Do you share your credentials? Do you share your social proof? Do you have lots of testimonials where other people talk about how great you are, or how great your product is, or how glad they were that they bought it? All those things that you probably are very aware of, but think about this as a question for you in your business. Can you now look back on some of your recent sales attempts at closing a client, and can you identify 20 touch points? Often the biggest mistake that I see clients making is they think there's something wrong with the way that they sell, but actually there's nothing wrong with the way that they sell. It's just that they haven't had enough touch points. They've tried to sell in 3 touch points. They've tried to make it a sprint, and sales is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It takes time to nurture the relationship and to build the trust. So think about your sales journey. I'm going to give you a sales journey in a minute for you to think about in your own businesses. But sales activity is the biggest, it's the most important ingredient. The next ingredient is your conversion rate. So activity tells you how hard you try, but conversion rate tells you how good you are at it. So you want to try hard, but you also want to be good when you try so that you're effective. and your conversion rate tells you how effective you are when you try to close a sale. The best way for you to know what your own conversion rate is to think back to the last, say 10, because it's easy to work out, the last 10 clients that you tried to sell to, and figure out how many times were you successful versus how many times you weren't. So if you were successful 2 out of 10, your conversion rate is 20%. If you closed 5 of them, then obviously your conversion rate is 50%. So think about those last 10. It's far easier to think back to the last 10 to get your own personal conversion rate than to try to map it out from here, because you've already done the work. You might as well just assess what you've already done to understand your own conversion rate. And if that conversion rate feels like actually you should be better than that, then yes, you need to invest in some learning, in some training, in some coaching, whatever, to improve your effectiveness when it comes to selling. Whether that's the way you write proposals, the way you write content, the way you conduct your discovery calls, whatever it is, you can get better at it. You can grow your conversion rate. And I'll show you why that's important in a minute. The third ingredient is your average order value per sale. And you probably sell more than one product or service, and that's fine. It's the combination of them that create the average. So I'm going to give you an example in a minute where the average is £1,000, just because that's easy maths and we can all follow that really, really simply. So they're the 3 ingredients: your sales activity, your conversion rate, and your average order value. So activity tells you how hard you try. Your conversion rate tells you how effective you are at it, and your average order value can sometimes tell you if you're good at package selling or upselling. So for example, if you sell more than one thing and actually the customer's needs leads to you needing to maybe recommend more than one product or service, then a good package seller would be able to sell both at the same time. And that can obviously grow your average order value. So is everybody ready to get into some numbers? I hope we're ready to get into some numbers, because that's where we're going. The numbers do not lie, okay? So when we come out of a sales pitch that didn't go so well, it's very easy for us to reflect and think, oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, or they were just a bad prospect, or they didn't engage from the beginning. And we tell ourselves all these stories about whether it was good or whether it wasn't good. And who knows what the reality is, but we tell ourselves lots of stories, and those stories affect our mindset for the next time that we sell. The beauty of setting the revenue targets and being really, really clear and strategic in how you do it is that the numbers do not lie. And trust me, I'm no mathematician, never have been, never will be, but the numbers do not lie. And when you're setting a success goal, you need to be able to track progress. And it's very difficult to track progress if you're just tracking how you felt a situation went. Whereas if you track the numbers, then you know that you're being accurate in what you're tracking and what you're measuring and what you're hopefully learning from doing that. So here's an example of those 3 ingredients and why it's the ingredients you need to follow and not the revenue target itself. So in this example, we've got sales activity multiplied by your conversion rate gives you your sales volume, gives you the number of sales that you can expect to make. So in this example, this person's done 10 conversations with a 20% conversion rate and they've made 2 sales. Now, we need to get really comfortable with failing in sales, because in this example, we failed 8 times out of 10. And that's okay. The average conversion rate, in my opinion, there's no real global rule of thumb, but the average is 25%, 1 in 4. And so, yes, you can grow that. And I know people that have achieved 50 to 60% conversion rate. Any higher than that, and I would say you're probably not recording the number of attempts well enough. But yeah, in this example, really easy to follow. 10 conversations at a 20% conversion rate gives you 2 sales. I'm just going to have a sip of water. So the 2 ingredients you're using there are activity and conversion rate. In the formula below, you've got then your sales volume, which we now know is 2, times by your average order value, which in this example is £500, which gives you your revenue of £1,000. So I make 2 sales, my average order price is £500, and my revenue therefore is £1,000. if I had just focused on, I want to sell £1,000, let's say this is a week, because it's possible to do, 10 conversations in a week. Let's say this is a week. I want to build £1,000 worth of revenue this week for my business by just saying to yourself every day and doing the vision board, I want £1,000. That's not enough. You need the inputs. And the inputs are the conversations, your effectiveness, your conversion rate, and that average order value. So that's why it's so important to focus on the input and not the output. So if you're now sort of sat there thinking, well, what are these? Rachel, you've said that sales activity is the #1 driver for success. What am I meant to be doing? This is a typical customer journey. And in this typical customer journey, you've got the stage of lead to prospect. So a lead is just somebody that might be a good sales prospect for you. When they're a prospect, a true prospect, you've actually qualified them, and you've maybe you've set some criteria, maybe you've reviewed whether they are a good fit for you, maybe you've compared them to your ideal customer profile, and therefore you've said they're more than just a lead, they're a really good prospect. And a prospect is somebody that's worth your sales effort, because sales conversations take time. Commenting on social media and having loads of direct messages with people, that all takes time, and you don't want to spend that time with the wrong people. So you need to qualify your lead, make sure they're a good prospect, they're worthy of your time and your energy, and then the hard work begins. You've got here, I've got 3 contact 1, contact 2, contact 3. It could be you engage with somebody on Facebook, you draw them into direct messages, you maybe gather their email address, you send them some communications, and maybe have a discovery call or a face-to-face meeting with them. The average is 20 touch points, but it doesn't have to be 20. You can close a sale in 3. You can close a sale in 1, but your chances are far, 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 far less. So I would say, if you're gonna really plan out what your customer journey looks like, at least plan maybe 10 contacts. Whether that looks like a bit of social media and a bit of email and a bit of face-to-face conversation. Nobody ever saw an Instagram post where one of the comments was, hey, can you give me a call to take my credit card details? That just does not happen. People do not buy in that way. You need to nurture them. So you need to build your own customer journey step by step, remembering that you at least need to identify 10 opportunities for that person to build know, like, and trust factor with you. One of your touch points is then you giving them a proposal and actually talking about what the service or the product looks like and the price. One of the contacts might be a separate conversation to agree what the delivery of that actually looks like, and to agree dates. And then you get into delivery and follow-up and ongoing communication and loyalty, and hopefully customer retention and love, and turning that customer into an ambassador for your business. So that's a typical customer journey. So when I'm talking about sales activity, this is what I'm talking about. And you need to be doing enough of these things for your customer to really know, like, and trust you, and to feel really comfortable with you, so that when you get to talking about money, that they feel comfortable, and of course that you feel comfortable as well. So that's your customer journey. And I would encourage you to map out, if you haven't already, map out what your ideal customer journey looks like. So you should already know what your ideal customer looks like, but you then need to map out, what does, in an ideal world, if I had a magic wand, what would I want that ideal customer journey to look like? And that doesn't mean that every customer will be your ideal and every customer will go through the ideal journey. All it means is that you've been intentional about what you want it to look like. You might sell to people that aren't your ideal customer, and that's fine. You might have a very different type of customer journey that still converts into a sale, and that's fine. But you do need to be intentional about what you would hopefully want it to look like if you had that magic wand. Hope I'm not going too fast for everybody. Let me have a quick look at the chat box in a minute. Maybe you've asked me some questions which I can answer at the end. So here's a series of milestones. So we need to adapt our sales strategy if we're going to be truly successful, because I'm sorry to tell you, it's not going to go to plan straight away. It just does not happen. If it was as easy as flicking a switch or coming onto a webinar with Rachel, if it was as easy as just doing that once and then everything would be simple, well, then everybody would be super successful. We'd all be multi-billionaires and we would all be super successful at everything. It doesn't work like that. We have to put in the effort. We have to take the learning, we have to apply it, we have to fail, we have to learn from that, and we have to try again and maybe fail again, or maybe just fail a bit less. And eventually, if we continually adapt and we continually apply what we've learned, we will succeed more times than we fail, and that success will lead to us achieving all the goals, not just the revenue goals, all the other goals that we want to achieve. So, you know, what I'm showing here is from today, what I would encourage you all to do is to drive the right activity. Map out what your customer journey looks like and make sure that you are doing the right things and you're doing enough of the right things, because the maths shows it's all about the volume of activity at the front end of that sales revenue formula. The next thing is, be really sure that your average order value is right. So have you set your pricing correctly? Have you set it based on the value that you offer? Have you set it based on your competitors? Have you set it based on something else? As long as you've set it based on something strategic, something that makes good sense, then your pricing probably is, you know, right. But it's worth just asking yourself the question. Now you've seen the revenue formula in black and white on the slides, just ask yourself the question, do I have enough products at the low end? Am I price competitive in the market? Do I have a natural flow through my services? So can I welcome somebody into working with my organization, maybe at a lower price point, and maybe upsell them once they become comfortable with me? Do you have the low end, but also do you have the high end? If obviously that's what you sell. But just ask yourself the question today, is your average order value, is the combination of products and services that you offer right for your market, right for the value that you offer, and right for your ideal customer? And the next thing is that you need to do today is to understand what your personal conversion rate is. And everybody's conversion rate is different. And what I would say is, if you work out your conversion rate and you're disappointed with the number, please don't dwell on it. That's the worst thing that you could do. It's one thing to know what it is. It's another thing to accept that it's going to be like that forever. So to know it and be disappointed with it, don't bother with the disappointment. Just see it as a starting point. Just see it as a benchmark. It's just where you are now. It's not where you want to be. It's just where you are now. And the only way to improve something is to recognize it and then adapt and grow it and change it. So today, it's about understanding your activity, being really comfortable that your average order value and your pricing is right, and know what your conversion rate is so that you can do that revenue formula. You can calculate that for you for the months and the business years, you know, the milestones, the success that you want to achieve. You need to be able to do that revenue formula. Okay. And remember, we're working from the future back. So just because you work out what your numbers are today doesn't mean that that's what they're going to be in the future. You need to design the numbers for the future that you want to have and work back. Okay. Well, big lorries just pulled up outside. I hope you guys can't hear that. It's quite noisy. Let's move on. So set that long-term plan. I can see I've got a couple of questions. I hope you want to answer those. I've got them live on screen. I'm not comfortable with that. I'll have a look at them in a minute when I stop sharing. So in this example, yes, we need to think about the long-term plan. So the example I've given, most people talk about a magic six-figure business number. So if you want to hit 100K, what a common mindset is I want to hit 100K and my average order value is 1,000, therefore I must need 100 customers. Wrong. That is wrong, because in sales we fail. Yeah, remember that. In sales we always fail. There is always going to be the sales that you don't get the yes to. So if you say I want to hit 100K and my product is £1,000 and therefore I need 100 customers, if your conversion rate is 33%, you're only going to get a third of your sales goal. And if you only get a third of your sales goal, how are you going to feel? Awful. You're going to feel a bit beaten up, a bit wounded. You're going to feel unsuccessful. It's going to give you less excitement to set another sales goal. You're going to feel like you're not good at your job. You're going to feel like you're not good at sales. And that's just not good for our mindset. And if we go into a sale with our mindset slightly off, the first person who's going to be aware of that is who? Your prospect. That is the worst person to be aware of how bad you feel as a salesperson, that you missed your last goal and you didn't win the last client and you feel all wounded and not really very successful. And then you take that mindset into your next sales conversation. And the one person that you don't want to be aware of all those things is your client. And therefore, that infectious thing that I said happens, positivity breeds positivity. You get the opposite. You get negativity breeds negativity. You have to go into your sales conversations being really, really confident. So if your goal is 100K at your given point, let's say a year from now, and your average order value is £1,000, that text I've got there at the bottom, if your conversion rate is 33%, you actually need 300 customers to achieve the 100K, because you need to fail 200 times. I know that sounds a lot. It's a big number, but this is a year. This is what a year could look like in your business. So you want to achieve that 100K with 300 customers and you convert at 33%. You can then look at that revenue formula and think, okay, well, how much activity would I need to do? And actually, could I improve that 33%? Could I push it up to 40? Could I invest in myself and make sure that I run my discovery calls even better? Or would I want to bring in a marketing company to give me more leads at the front end? Whatever the strategy is, there are loads of different things that you can do to play with those numbers. But the biggest mistake is saying, I need the 100K, my product is 1,000, therefore I must need 100 customers, because that is not going to get you there. It's not going to get you anywhere near there unless your conversion rate is really, 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 really high. So yeah, just have a think about that. Is that a mistake that maybe you've made in your business, that you've set that goal, but you've set it based on being successful in every sales pitch? And actually that is never going to happen. So you've got to factor in the failures. You've got to factor in the client is going to say no. And we don't like it when they say no, but we have to accept that there are times when they're going to say no. So think about your business model. So in this example, I've set up some milestones here. I've said, right, I've got 100 activities that I'm going to do with a 33% conversion rate, which is going to give me 33 sales at £1,000. I'm going to get £33,000 of revenue. Well, that's okay if my target was 33,000, but the target I wanted was 100K. So on my first milestone, I'm going to look at that and say, right, that isn't what I wanted. Rachel told me not to beat myself up about it, to just learn and tweak and adapt and grow. So what about those numbers can I adapt and grow? What can I do to those numbers to strategically plan that by milestone 2, I get a different outcome? And so in orange, the outcome that we've then got is I've suddenly been able to generate 60K instead. Well, how have I done that? Because I've nearly doubled my revenue. Well, how have I done that? I've done the same amount of activity. I've still done 100. I've moved my conversion rate to 40%, so that instead of 33 sales, I now get 40 sales. And what I've done is I've looked at my services and thought, actually, there's an opportunity for me to offer a bigger price point. I've improved one of my products or services, and I now sell at a higher price, meaning my average order value has moved up to 1,500. So when you do the maths there, 40 sales at 1,500 gives you the 60K revenue output. So I've changed my inputs to get the output, but my target was 100K. So actually, I still haven't achieved what I really wanted to achieve. So I need to further adapt and grow. And so to get the over 100K we've got in the last example, we've got 102K in that last example, and we've had to adapt even further. We've had to improve our business model even further to get that. And so what have we done? We've got 120 sales activities, which we might have done by bringing in a marketing VA. Maybe we've hired an agency to do some extra email marketing for us. Whatever that is, we've increased our activity. You probably, if you're already working all the hours under the sun, which as business owners you probably are, we all do, you might not think there's any time left in the day to grow your activity. And that's where it might be worth hiring some support. It might be worth bringing in somebody that can just spend an hour, 2 hours a week even, just helping you to increase the number of conversations. So in this example, we've increased it by 20. We've gone up to 120. We've also tweaked and learnt to be better at selling. We've maybe been following a new discovery call process. We might make sure that we only invite the warmest leads onto those discovery calls. We might have done a number of things to improve our conversion rate. And when we get into Q&A, you can ask me some questions about that if you have some. But we've increased our conversion rate to 50%. So that means 120 activities at 50% means I've now got 60 sales. I started off in the beginning at Milestone 1 with 33. So I've nearly doubled my sales volume, which is amazing. I've also looked at my price point and inched it up just slightly from the 1,500 that I had in Milestone 2, and I've moved it up to 1,700. So now when you multiply those 3 big key ingredients that we need, you get the 102K. So finally, I've arrived at a business model and the output that I wanted, which was the 102. If all I'd have done at day one is say I want 102, I would never have got there. The only way that that's been achieved is by adapting and learning and measuring my own success, measuring my own progress, tweaking the numbers so that I can improve to the level that I get the output that I want. So bearing in mind that this webinar was called How to Set Revenue Targets That Actually Get Achieved, this is how you do it. You don't just wave a magic wand on day one. You have to inch it forwards, tweak a few dials. You know, it's like when you see pilots flying a plane and they have all those buttons to fly the plane and get the plane off the ground. Running a business is exactly like that. We have to push those buttons and turn those dials constantly as business owners. But when it comes to actually what matters, which, let's face it, is always the revenue, is our number one goal, there's only a few dials in a cockpit that get a plane off the ground. And those pilots, although they've got hundreds of buttons, they know there's just a few magic dials to turn that gets the plane moving and gets us flying to where we want to fly to. And so business is exactly the same. Yes, we've got all the buttons, but there's just a couple of magic dials that will help us to get the outcome that we want. So we need to set the strategy from the start, be really clear, be really, really intentional. How are we doing for time? We're okay. Be really, really, really intentional with that strategy. Ask yourself, how much sales activity will I need to do in my business each month? And if it isn't you and you're going to hire somebody to do it, be intentional about that and set them the activity goals, but make sure it's always measured. On the conversion rate, you have to maximize that conversion rate by being as effective as possible. And that comes from maybe investing in yourself, or if you've got somebody else doing the sales, investing in them. If you're an e-commerce business, it could come that, you know, you need to invest more in the website so that the conversion rate on the website is even better. It might be a process issue. But if it's a service-based business, and I know a number of you are service-based businesses, the conversion rate usually comes down to the way that we are in our sales conversations. And that comes down to just learning and practice and being better. And the last bit is to set that right mix of services and pricing, and make sure that you've got a low price point if you need to introduce people to your brand at a lower price point and upsell them, or maybe you're a high price, high quality service provider and therefore you don't have the low price, but at least make sure when you set that high price that it's the right price and that you stand out in your market as high quality. But just make sure when you look at the average order value that you're really comfortable that it is right for you, right for the client, and right for the market and sector that you're in. So these three things need to come together as your sales strategy, and you need to be really intentional about how you set those things up. So I'm looking for more ambitious entrepreneurs. I have a free business resource area that has got some extra worksheets and some free training in there for you. One of the things that I've opened up is there's a mini course that includes an explainer video on how to build an ideal customer profile, which if you're looking to maximize your conversion rate is a really great place to start. So if any of you guys would like to access that, I will share the link. So when I send out this video to you, I will also share the link to that. If you want to get in there and get involved, you are more than welcome to do so. And I would love to stay in touch. I think a number of you, as I saw you joining, we're already connected on social media, but I'm all over the place. The two businesses, I've got Momentum Southwest, which I know a number of you already know, and MySalesMentor, which is a fairly new brand. And so we've got all the social media channels set up for that. The two biggest for us are Instagram and YouTube. And we've also got an amazing little Facebook community that I think we're up to 60 members now. It's not a quantity group, it's a quality group. So what I want in that group is people that are really serious about improving their sales skills and their sales ability, because I'm seeing that group like a training group where we help each other. Obviously I'm there sharing a lot of content, but I want to encourage the people in the group to share and help each other. So please let's stay in touch. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now so that I can answer some of the questions that we got. How does that sound? Does that sound good? Let's have a look. Oh, Tabeel, great. I'll see you on LinkedIn. Okie dokie. Right, let's get some questions going. Rachel, what are we doing? Okay. So if you do have any questions, now is the time. We've got 15 minutes left together. Oh, thank you, Louise. I'm glad you found it helpful. Really, really, really glad to hear that. So we've got a challenge there. The challenge I have in my business is people are too busy to ask for the help that they know that they need. Yes, how often do you recommend that you follow up with people once you've had the discovery call? So this is a really, really great question. Can somebody just let me know? Can you see this Q&A on the screen? I really don't want to publish people's questions if they wanted it to be private to me. So yeah, the question that we've got here is about follow-up. And so what I would say, if you're maybe nervous about following up with somebody, so maybe this nerves come in when you've had a great meeting, you've both left saying this is amazing, you know, really looking forward to working together, and you send the proposal and maybe you wait a couple of days and you follow them up and you get no reply, and maybe you wait another couple of days and you follow them up and you get no reply. And what we tend to feel as salespeople is a bit wounded and a bit like, oh God, you know, it becomes personal. It feels personal. It feels to you like they're ignoring your calls and that they see your emails come in and they're like, oh no, not her again. And trust me, it's not like that. Never see sales as personal. It's never personal, especially if you've had a really great discovery call with somebody. So my advice to answer that question is agree in the discovery call what the follow-up looks like. So at the end, when you have that conversation about, right, I'm going to send you a proposal, I'll probably have that with you by tomorrow, is that okay? They say, yeah, that would be great. At that point, you say, I appreciate that you're busy. I want to make sure that we get an opportunity to talk again about it. So you could either appoint them for a quick follow-up discussion, or you can say, if I send you the proposal tomorrow, when do you think we can talk about it again? Or can I call you Friday? Or I will call you Friday. But you need to agree in the discovery call what the follow-up looks like. And what you'll often find, and this is how I would phrase it. I would say to the client, obviously, I'm really looking forward to working with you. I think we've had a great meeting. It's clear that, you know, we get on well, we're aligned in our thoughts and the outcomes that we want to achieve together. Really looking forward to getting started. I'll have the proposal with you by tomorrow. But what I will do is give you a follow-up. How would you prefer that I follow you up? Do you read your emails regularly? Would you prefer that I text you? Would you prefer that I WhatsApp you? How do you like to be communicated with? That question is an absolute golden question, because when you say to somebody, how do you like to be communicated with, they will tell you the truth. And if somebody asked me that question, I would say, oh, don't email me. My inbox is full of other stuff. I don't manage my inbox like that. If you want to really get hold of me, call me early in the morning, call me in the evening, or WhatsApp me. But please, you know, don't send me a long email. I don't like long emails. I only like really short, really to the point. The minute I open my email and see a long email or loads of attachments, my brain switched off. So if your client is like me, then of course they're not going to reply to your email. Even though they wanted the proposal, they're just busy. Business owners are busy. So we need to agree the follow-up process in the meeting while we've got the chance. So hopefully that answers the question. We've got a question there about conversion rate. Should I be using the conversion rate? Yes, if you've already understood what your conversion rate looks like and you're sure that it's accurate for present day. Let's not forget, dare I talk about pandemic, but let's not forget, you know, we are in a slightly different trading period at the moment. You know, the economy is a little bit tricky. And so you might want to look at your more recent conversion rate rather than maybe the last 5 years, because 5 years is a long time. So I would take something maybe a little bit shorter term than that. Thank you, Jill. Glad that you found it useful. Really, really glad. We've got another question. How long would you normally expect to get going and reach that 100K? Great webinar. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, thank you. So the 100K, ooh, how long would it take? I would say if you built the right business model and you built from day one to scale, you could probably do it in 3 months. Depends obviously what you're selling, and it depends on a lot of factors. But I would say the work that you need to put in the beginning, which I know you, so I know how you're getting on with that. But the work, the foundation that you put in the beginning is, who is my ideal customer? How do they think? What are their goals? What are their values? How are they going to feel when they see my proposition? Is it going to meet what they need? And if you build your marketing plan around that ideal customer, and from day one, you build it to scale, so you don't build it to convert one customer here, one customer there, a couple a week. That's never going to get you the 100K unless your average order value is like 10K, which it probably isn't. So if you're talking about order values of like £1,000 to £2,000, it is possible in 3 months, but you would need to build a marketing strategy to drive the leads at the front end so that your conversion rate and your funnel converts at a rate that's got pace to it, but also it's got success to it. So it's got to be a highly targeted campaign to the right people, highly effective conversion rates for you to get that big money really, really early. So that's probably not the answer that you wanted. Maybe you wanted the 100K to be a little bit easier, but yeah, nothing is easy. This is what drives me mad with some of these posts that you see on social media, and you see these great videos and it's all very slick and lovely, and they're promising you that I'm going to get you a 7-figure business. No, you're not. You're not going to do that. The business owner is going to do that. It's about hard work. We have to put in the work. And when we put in the work, we have to then reflect on what we've done, assess whether it was effective, be honest with ourselves about what was and wasn't effective, and then change what's not effective. It's that simple. It's as simple as saying, where am I now? Where do I want to be? What's the gap in between? How do I build the plan to meet it? growing a business, it doesn't matter whether you're building, you know, a company to look like Apple or a company to look like a really small local business. The growth process is exactly the same, growing Apple versus growing a small business. It's where am I now? Where do I want to be? I need to work back from the future. I need to build the strategy, assess the gap, and then build the plan and put in those milestones and be really honest when you reflect on whether it was a good period or a not so good period. Be really honest with yourself about what went well, what didn't go well, what do I need to change, how quickly can I do it, do I need help? Sometimes the best way to scale is to outsource really quickly. And I know we've got some great VAs here on the webinar. So, you know, bigging up the VAs, the best way to scale is to get rid of all the stuff that you're not good at and give it to somebody who is. And yes, that means investment. You sometimes need to invest the cash to be able to get the return. And as long as the business model and the strategy stacks up to that, it would be a good thing to do. It would only become a bad thing to do if you set up the strategy, you outsourced a load of stuff, you then reflected and thought that didn't work out. It would only be a bad thing to do if you kept it in place. So always give yourself a back out plan. Even if somebody says you have to work with me for 12 months, I would never, if you're in the starting point of your business, I would never agree to that, because actually what you need to do is test and learn. Continually test, learn, test, learn, test, learn. And when you do the test, learn, reflect, be honest about what works, be honest about what doesn't, get rid of the stuff that doesn't, and do more of the stuff that does. It really is that simple. It's just that we have all this noise going around us all the time, which clouds our view sometimes. And actually, business growth is as simple as looking at the gap from today to the future and building the plan to get there. So I think that's all the questions. I would love to know, we've got a couple of minutes left. What I would really love to know is, did this webinar do what it said it would do? Because as I said right at the beginning, I feel frustrated sometimes that webinars tell you that they're going to sell you a dream, and actually you get there and you don't get what you were hoping for. So has this answered your questions about setting revenue goals? Do you feel like you can take this forward in your business and make use of it and use it to adapt and improve your own strategy? I would love to know that. I would also love to know, what do you all do? You know, I just want to get to know you all. And what I would love to do is maybe do a few more of these webinars. So here's a question for you. Given that I can't see any of you, would you prefer a webinar to be the way that we've done it today, with me not able to see you and us not able to chat? Or has today been okay and that you're happy to just be communicating with me in the chat box? Or would you prefer to be in a meeting environment? I'd love to know the answer to that. That would be amazing. Thank you, Joanne. That was a really quick answer and probably what I expected you to say. Yeah, definitely. We're all zoomed out, aren't we? I'm definitely zoomed out. I think I've got Zoom-shaped glasses. It's just, you know, yeah, with so many Zoom calls. So, most useful hour ever. Oh, fantastic. That's amazing. That is amazing. The most useful hour ever. That is very, very, very good feedback indeed. Look, you can see I'm smiling. So, yes, thank you so much. We've got a couple of minutes. If there is any last questions, you can, hit me up. I'm going to download the video, which usually, because it's an hour video, it usually takes a bit of time afterwards to download. And then what I'll do is I'll email that out to you guys so that you can watch the replay if you want to. Obviously, there's a lot of people that registered that didn't make it on today, so they'll be able to watch it. If you've got any questions, you'll be able to email me from that email, so you'll have all my details there. If you want to join the Facebook community, I would love to have you in the Facebook community. That would be amazing. And yeah, it's not a volume community. I'm not trying to, you know, some of the groups have got like 40,000 people in them. That must be crazy. It's more about quality for me. So people that are really serious about learning. So I'd love to have you in the Facebook community. And also, if you want to make use of the free business resources that I've got in the, I'm calling it the member zone. So in there, you've got a business planning template, you've got a value proposition workbook, you've got how to build a customer profile, which is a mini course. It's got a 23-minute video from yours truly with some worksheets that you can download. I've got a printable version and a version that looks all like nice and branded. But yeah, 23 minutes of me talking you through the real detail of how to build a customer profile. We've got one question come in. Pearls of wisdom. Oh, thank you, Anna. I'm glad I've got some pearls of wisdom. We have a question. I have concerns about outsourcing social media because it takes time, but it's all about personal connections. Do you outsource social media? Well, that is a really good question, because with social media, the clue is in the title. It's about being social, and we want people to know, like, and trust us, which means they have to get access to us. So what I would say with outsourcing social media, yes, you can outsource social media. Yes, I have people doing some social media for my businesses. But what I would say is you can do it in tandem with you. So take Instagram, for example. I would outsource the posts, but not the stories, because the stories are personal and they have to be you. I put a story out last night, me sat in the garden with a glass of wine and a candle, and that's my life. How can people get to know you if you don't share your life and share stuff about you? They want to know you. And so if you're in your stories, you ask a poll and people answer you, it needs to be you that replies. So yeah, you can outsource the posts. You could give your social media VA the brief that you want to do a post a day. And, you know, for next week, there's 5 days in the working week. I want a post on X, a post on Y, a post on Z, an inspirational quote and a testimonial. But in tandem to that, you can be doing the stories so that you're actually working on it together. And as long as you set the rules together, you do the posts, I won't post, but I'll do the stories, you don't do the stories. And so then you won't get that moment where you both post a story at the same time and it's sort of fighting against each other on your channel. That wouldn't be good. So yeah, I would say if you find somebody that you trust, yes, you can outsource your social media and it can still help to build your following. But what I would say is you need to train that person. The person who does my social media really gets me. They get me, they get my methodology, they get the tone of voice, they understand the company values, they understand who we're trying to reach, who we'd love to work with in both businesses, because the ideal customer is different for both businesses. And they really understand that. So anything that you outsource, they're only going to be as good as what you train them in. You know, if they're going to do your email marketing, they have to know what that messaging needs to sound like, and they need to know the thoughts and the feelings that you're trying to evoke in your audience. So, oh, bless me. Oh, poor me. Terrible dry throat. So yeah, yes, you can outsource it is the very short answer. But when you outsource it, make sure that you give that person a fighting chance to do a good job for you by really training them well on how you like it to be done. And find a way of working that really works. You know, a shared Dropbox is a great way of working with a VA or somebody that you need to outsource social media to, because you need to be able to share content really quickly, and just chucking it in a Dropbox is easy to do from your mobile, from your computer. They can do the same. They can they can maybe schedule posts. So if you use something like Hootsuite, your VA can put all the posts in Hootsuite in draft, and then your job is just to go in and check them, tweak them if you need to, and then you publish them. So yes, you can outsource it and maybe get your VA to prepare it all, but only on your say so does it actually go live. If that is what you're nervous about, that's a great way around it. So we are done with the questions. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you spending an hour of your day to listen to me talking about maths, because that's what we've talked about. We've talked about maths, and you stuck with it for the whole hour and given me some